instead of dusty rose. I changed the color. I shouldn't have. By now the wedding was 6 weeks out. 200 guests confirmed. Venue deposit paid, caterer locked, florist booked. I couldn't cancel without losing $14,000. And then, 6 days before the ceremony, my phone buzzed at 11 at night. Rachel's name on the screen. Rachel, my maid of honor. Rachel, who never calls after 9. "We need to talk," she said. "Tonight. I'll be there in 15 minutes. If you've ever had someone in your family try to control who you love or how you live your life, you know exactly what this feels like. If Donna's story is hitting close to home, drop a comment and tell me. Did your family ever cross a line at a moment that was supposed to be yours? Hit subscribe so you don't miss how this ends." Rachel sat on my kitchen floor with her shoes still on and her coat half off. She was holding her phone the way people hold evidence. Tight. Screen down. Like she wasn't sure she should show me. Rachel Kim is my best friend from college and Marcus's cousin on his mother's side. She is the person I trust most in the world outside of Marcus himself. When she says something matters, it matters. She turned the phone over. "I need you to read this." It was a screenshot from a group chat, a nail salon group, Carol Whitmore's salon, where Rachel gets her nails done every other Thursday. Carol had sent a message to the wrong thread. The message was addressed to my mother. "Is everything ready for Saturday? Derek is nervous. I told him once the intervention works, Donna will come around. The $40,000 was worth every penny." I read it twice. Then a third time. $40,000. My mother had told me she was contributing 20, but the real number, the full number, was double that. And it hadn't come from savings. It had come from Carol Whitmore. Rachel scrolled down. There was more. A second screenshot. My mother's reply to Carol. "Don't worry. Once Richard reads the speech, Donna won't have a choice. She won't humiliate herself in front of 200 people." I set the phone on the counter. My hands were shaking. I stared at the kitchen tile for a long time. $40,000. My mother had taken $40,000 from another woman's family to arrange my marriage to that woman's son. I sat on my kitchen floor for 20 minutes. Then I called Marcus. Marcus walked through my front door 14 minutes after I called. He didn't ask what happened. He sat on the floor next to me and waited. I cried for about 5 minutes. Not the pretty kind, the kind that sounds like something tearing. Then I wiped my face with my sleeve and told him everything. He listened. He read the screenshots. He set the phone down. And then he said, "We're not canceling this wedding." I looked at him. His jaw was tight, but his voice was steady. "This is our day. They don't get to take it." We sat at the kitchen table until 1 in the morning. We made a plan. No confrontation before the ceremony. No warning to my mother. No canceled venue. No changed locks. We would let the intervention happen. And when it was done, I would respond. With facts. With proof. With documents. I am a litigation paralegal. I compile evidence for a living. I organize discovery binders, sort financial disclosures, prepare exhibits for depositions. I've done it 1,000 times for strangers. Now I would do it once for myself. Rachel helped us pull the records. Carol Whitmore's Venmo history was partially public. 2 transfers to Janet Ainsworth, $25,000 in March of last year, $15,000 in August. The memo on both? Wedding arrangement. We printed the screenshots, the transaction records, and the original guest list, my version with 170 names, compared to my mother's edited version with 200. Marcus called our officiant Reverend Patricia Miles. He told her the ceremony might be interrupted. He asked if she would be willing to proceed once the interruption ended. She said, "Absolutely." We sealed the documents in a manila envelope. Rachel would carry it into the bridal suite on the day of the wedding. The 3 hardest days of my life were not the days after the wedding. They were the 3 days before it. 72 hours of pretending, smiling through the final venue walkthrough, nodding while the florist adjusted centerpieces, sitting across from my mother at the rehearsal brunch and listening to her talk about place cards. Janet called me 3 times a day. "Are you excited?" Is everything perfect? I can't wait to see you walk down that aisle. Each call was another layer of acting I didn't know I had in me. Yes, Mom. Everything's perfect. At night, I printed documents. Venmo records, screenshot comparisons, the guest list side by side. I organized them the same way I organized trial exhibits. Chronological, tabbed, labeled. Marcus tucked the stack into the manila envelope and drove it to Rachel's apartment. She locked it in her closet. On Wednesday, 2 days before the wedding, I told Hector Vega. Hector is the senior partner at Brennan and Associates. He has been my mentor since I started at the firm 6 years ago. He was already coming to the wedding as a guest. When I told him what was happening, he went quiet for 10 seconds. Then he said, "If you need me to say anything, I'm there. Row 12, seat 3. I'll be watching." The rehearsal dinner was Thursday night, 40 people at an Italian restaurant near the venue. My mother stood and raised her glass. "To my beautiful daughter," she said. "And her," she paused, "future." She didn't say Marcus's name. Not once. She toasted my future without naming the man I was spending it with. I smiled. I touched my wine glass to hers, and I counted the hours. The rehearsal dinner should have been a celebration. Instead, it felt like surveillance. My mother worked the room with a hostess's efficiency, touching arms and whispering to people I barely recognized. Most of them were from the 30 names she had added to the guest list. Carol Whitmore's crowd, friends of friends, people who smiled at me with the vague warmth of strangers doing a favor. Derek Whitmore was there. He wore a navy blazer and sat next to my mother for most of the evening. She introduced him to guests like a campaign manager. "This is Derek. He's like a second son to me. Carol's boy. Wonderful young man." Marcus shook Derek's hand when they crossed paths near the bar. Derek looked away first. He held his cocktail at chest height like a shield and spent the rest of the night by the window. Tessa sat in the corner recording TikToks. She leaned into her friend and whispered something. They both looked at me and laughed. I pretended not to notice. After dinner, I drove home alone. Marcus went to his brother's house for the night. Tradition. Or maybe just distance from the noise. I lay on my bed in the dark. The ceiling fan clicked on every third rotation. I stared at it and tried to breathe. On the nightstand was a printed copy of the final guest list. I picked it up. Found row 3, seat 7. Derek Whitmore. I circled the name with a red pen. Not because I needed to remember, because holding the pen made me feel like I still had control of something. Marcus texted at midnight. 2 more days. I'm right here. I turned off the light. I didn't sleep. I woke at 5:45 on the morning of my wedding. The sun wasn't up yet, but the sky was turning gray along the ridge east of Knoxville. June air through the cracked window. No breeze. I showered. I ate half a granola bar. I drove to the venue in my sweatpants with my dress in a garment bag on the back seat. The venue was a garden estate on the outskirts of Farragut. Stone paths, boxwood hedges, a pergola draped in white fabric where the ceremony would take place. 200 white chairs in curved rows. The caterers were already setting up the cocktail hour tables. Rachel met me in the bridal suite at 7. She had the manila envelope in her tote bag. She didn't say anything. She just set it on the table next to my makeup kit and squeezed my arm. Hair and makeup took 2 hours. 2 other bridesmaids came and went. They talked about the weather, the flowers, the playlist for the reception. Normal things. Safe things. At 9:15, my mother walked in. "You look beautiful, honey." She hugged me, her arms wrapped tight. I hugged back, but my body was stiff. She reached into the large tote bag she carried everywhere and pulled out a white envelope. Her handwriting on the front. "For Donna." She set it on the vanity. "I wrote you something. For later." I looked at the envelope. Then I looked at my mother's face. She was smiling the way she always smiles when she believes she is in control. She left the room. The door clicked shut. Rachel looked at me. I looked at the envelope. Then I looked at the manila one on the table. "It's happening," I said. Rachel opened the manila envelope at 9:32. She laid the documents across the vanity table one at a time. I stood behind her in my wedding dress, veil pinned, hands steady. The first page was a printed screenshot. Carol Whitmore's text to my mother, sent to the wrong group chat. Is everything ready for Saturday? Derek is nervous. I told him once the intervention works, Donna will come around. The $40,000 was worth every penny. The second page was a Venmo transaction record, Carol Whitmore to Janet Ainsworth, $25,000, March 15th of last year. Memo, wedding arrangement. The third page was the second transfer, $15,000, August 22nd, same memo. The fourth page was a side-by-side comparison of two guest lists. The one I created, 170 names. The one my mother submitted to the venue, 200 names. 30 additions. All of them connected to Carol Whitmore's circle. The fifth page was another screenshot. My mother's reply to Carol, don't worry. Once Richard reads the speech, Donna won't have a choice. She won't humiliate herself in front of 200 people. I read every page. I read them slowly, the way I read exhibits before a deposition. No emotion, no rushing, just facts arranged in sequence. $40,000. That's what my mother thought my wedding was worth. That's what she thought my life was worth. Rachel stood next to me. She didn't speak until I did. What do you want to do? I stacked the documents, slid them back into the envelope, pressed the clasp shut. Exactly what we planned. She nodded. She tucked the envelope into my clutch bag, white satin, small enough to hold in one hand. At 10:15, I stood in front of the full-length mirror in the bridal suite. White dress. Simple cut. No beading. No train. I had chosen it because it looked like something I would actually wear. Not a costume, not a performance. Rachel had switched my mascara 2 days ago without telling me. Waterproof. She knows me better than I know myself. My phone buzzed. Marcus. Whatever happens out there, I'm marrying you today. I smiled at the screen. Then I set the phone face down on the vanity. At 10:20, Reverend Patricia Miles knocked on the suite door. She wore a cream-colored blazer and a calm expression. I've been briefed, she said. The ceremony will proceed. If there is an interruption, I will wait. When it is finished, I will continue. You have my word. I thanked her. She left. At 10:25, another text. Hector Vega. Row 12, seat 3. I'm here. Rachel adjusted my veil. She pressed the clutch bag into my hand. The envelope inside weighed almost nothing. 5 pages. A few ounces of paper. But they held the truth about $40,000, a deal my mother made with another woman, and the man in row 3, who was part of the transaction. I looked at the vanity. My mother's white envelope was still there. For Donna,